I'm going to go ahead and sort of film the intro to this here. So I'm following an abandoned railroad line from Evansville to almost Mount Carmel, Illinois. And I'm going to show you what's left of it everywhere. So I'm going to actually go over the map and everything in the hotel room tonight. Tell you something about the history of it. But if you're not interested in abandoned railroads, you're probably not going to see any trains on this unless I happen to stumble upon one. If you're not interested in abandoned railroads, then probably not a video for you. This is a site along the line. I have no idea what the significance of this bell is. I don't know if there used to be a church here. It was pretty cool. Buckeye Bell Foundry, 1889. Out in Van Dusen and Tift, Cincinnati. So that's a pretty cool bell. So this is one of the spots on the line. So again, I'll give some history of the line and talk about it tonight in the hotel room, and then the rest of it's just going to be me following the line and showing you what's left. So the first railroad that I'm gonna follow was built around 1910. It's called the Evansville, Mount Carmel, and Northern Railroad. Evansville is just off the map here. Just for reference, this is Princeton up here where I'm staying. And Mount Carmel is actually just off the map to the north. That's in Illinois, just on the other side of the Wabash River. This is one of those railroads you wonder why it was ever built, because it was built so late in time, 1910. All the major railroads were built. And it went through no towns at all. The biggest town was a town called Johnson, right here, with maybe, I don't know, 200 or 300 people. So it had no industry on the entire line. So whether it was built for passenger traffic to go from, Evansville to Chicago, because it tied into a New York Central line that ran in Illinois that went all the way down to Cairo, Illinois. So I'll show you the facilities in Mount Carmel later, but this just happened to tie into Mount Carmel. So at the bottom end here, I know you may not be able to see it, this is a CSX line, Chicago and Eastern Illinois, and at some point they built a connection over to this line and used it to bypass Evansville. So this part of the line is still very active. Down here, it's a Class 1 railroad, sees dozens of trains a day. Same line that runs through Princeton. The northern part, up in Mount Carmel, ties into Norfolk Southern. And there's a power plant right here, which I'll show you in the video. And the bridge is still there over the Wabash River. Apparently, Norfolk Southern uses it to deliver coal to the power plant. The line south, the old New York Central line, then Penn Central line, and then Conrail line, going south in Illinois is all abandoned. This was actually abandoned in 1974 by Penn Central. The interesting part about it to me is that they didn't take up the track. There's still 30 miles of track in here. Now some farmers have just taken it upon themselves to take up track because this is valuable farmland. And so it's taken up their land, so they just took it up and plowed. They had to take it up because they could never drive a plow over it. But so you can't tell where it is sometimes in some aerial photos. You just can't tell. But you can follow the tree line enough. And you get up in here, it's still real obvious where it is, and all the rails are still there. Most of the places without rail are down here. So again, this was built in 1910, abandoned in 1974 by the Penn Central. Norfolk Southern supposedly owns it. But it's really fascinating to me that all the rails are still there. So let's get started with the tour. We're going to start at the south and work northwest toward Mount Carmel, Illinois. This is our first stop, actually looking northwest. I'll walk back across the road behind me. Right here is pretty rough. I don't think there's any rails here. As you'll see, And unless they've taken them up in the last couple of years, there's some definite rails still here. So out through there, looking toward Evansville. We're on close to Hillside Gardens. We're on West Boonville, New Harmony Road. Still looking northwest. Here there used to be an overpass, I guess. As you can see how high we're above the road. Again, no tracks down here. All overgrown. Pretty amazing house here, especially considering it's a new house. So, don't see people build houses like that much anymore. The reason why I stopped here though is this: I just turned off of the Boonville New Harmony Road, and this is the grade. Again, so to my right is Evansville, to my left goes to Mount Carmel. Real obvious that there used to be a grade here, and you could obviously used to be a bridge up here. Still head northwest. This is the next road crossing. This is Maasberg Road, M-A-A-S-B-E-R-G, and rails here. I haven't seen a train in a while. Almost look like narrow gauge. And when I come on the other side of the road, got rails over here too. And like I said, I don't think there's been a train here for 40 or 50 years. We'll keep on following it north. Stopped in the road in my car. I was just back over there, but you can see the roadbed. Again, we're following it northwest. There it goes, out that way. Keep going. See a bridge out there. Looks like there's no rails on either side of it, but I won't know till I get up there. Place I just shot that real 12-second shot was right there. I went up, I was on Baseline Road. Now I turned on north on Wallenmeyer Road. And so I'm heading up to this grade crossing up here. Right there's the grade. And you can clearly see rails still on that part and ties. Okay, we're on the corner. Obviously Nisbet Road, and I don't know if that's Ball Road. Here's the roadbed. Obviously paved over many, many years ago. I don't know what this yellow flashing light is supposed to be here for, but the rails are still here. And if you get on down there a little bit, I could walk down there, but I'd be trespassing. I think there's a bridge down there where those trees are. Here's the direction looking the other way. If you can see in the distance over there, some big trucks. That's Interstate 64. So to the left is St. Louis, and to the right is, I guess, Louisville. But another really cool thing here, and I have no idea what this place is. There's no signs, but boy, this is a beautifully restored place. I mean, it was worth it just the drive just to see this place. I'm not going to get too close to it. You know, someone may be living here. I'm not sure. If it's a business, which I think it is. Let's see. I think it's a restaurant of some type. The Nisbet Inn. A very, very cool place. I may come here for dinner one night. So that is a highlight of the trip so far. All right, let's keep going northwest. So we turned off Nisbet Road and now heading north onto Pruitt Road. Now we're on the corner of Pruitt and Scott. And as you can tell, rails are here. And this is actually the first time I ever saw this railroad. I was driving across I-64 and I thought, man, those rails are still there, as far as you can see. Now we're looking back toward Nisbet. And they're not there all the way to the Nisbet Inn. they're ripped up because you can see next to the Nisbet Inn they weren't there. But these look like you could almost run a speeder on them. They're not too bad a shape. I don't see any whistle posts or anything. It'd be cool if there was an old whistle post, but don't see anything. So we're going to cross underneath, well, we're going to go down Scott Road and head toward a little town called Cynthiana, which this railroad just went north of Cynthiana, and keep following it. Okay, still looking northwest. As you can tell by the noisy frogs, whatever they are. It's a warm day in March in Indiana. The state of Indiana on Highway 65 just built a fill right over this. Used to be a bridge. There are still tracks down there, still rails down there. I'll see if I can get an angle where you can actually see them. I don't know if they're underneath the fill, underneath my feet or not, but there's definitely still rails down there. Yeah, I can see a couple in the middle of the screen. So we're still looking northwest. Let me look back south toward Evansville on the other side of the road. Without getting killed here. So it's just really intriguing to me is why there are big gaps in the rails in places. That's just the local farmers took them out. If the railroad would take them out, they'd all been gone. Nothing obvious, but I'm pretty sure there's rails down there if I go down and kick around. This town over here is Cynthiana. Nice little Indiana town. It has its own abandoned railroad story. You see that grain elevator, but that's for a different time. Okay, I know we're sort of looking into the sun. Can't help that. This is one of my favorite spots. The line we've been following is on top. It's another abandoned railroad underneath it. That's the line that goes to Cynthiana. It's a Chicago and Eastern Illinois line. And again, I'll just follow it at another time. But we're high up on an embankment here. We were just down there when I was on Indiana Route 65. But another reason why it's my favorite spot is coming around to this. So we're going to go underneath that. And I think there's a date on it. It should be something like 1911, because I think that's when this line was built. But this is a really cool spot with the two bridges. And I forgot to mention, you can clearly see that there's rail on this. Let's see how that nice straight line is. There's definitely rail on top of that. Yeah, I know, it's a county road, no traffic. You can see ahead of me or behind me, there's no traffic. So, it says 1910 on the thing up the top. And of course, it's covered with graffiti, as they all are. That's a neat old viaduct. I wouldn't drive a car on this bridge for any amount of money. You can't drive over now, the other side's blocked. But I'll walk on it. So this is an old wooden bridge across the railroad tracks. This is the next stop from where we just saw the two bridges. You can see a lot of the guardrails are down. As you can tell, tracks are still there. This is looking north toward Mount Carmel. And I'll turn it around. This is looking south. Again, this bridge is getting pretty decrepit, but the way I found this one time, there's a geocache here. I used to be a geocacher. And there's a geocache down underneath there. So I just thought this was one of the coolest places I'd ever found a geocache at. So I wanted to come back. And luckily for me, it's a beautiful day. So this is maybe the scenic highlight of the whole thing, but there's one other bridge. Hopefully I can get to it. Hopefully the water's not too high. So those smokestacks way out there are where this line essentially ends. Okay, we're in Johnson, Indiana, and that looks suspiciously like might have been the railroad depot for this line. We're looking south toward Evansville. Obviously the lines are still here, and it would not surprise me if this was the only customer they had on the line. Can't say that for sure, but this is the biggest town it goes through, and Johnson maybe has a few hundred people. It just bypassed every town because it was built so late. I would love to go back there and poke around, but that'd be trespassing, and I'm not going to do it. If it was open and there's somebody here, I could ask them. Maybe they know the history of it, but I'll try to find out something. So I'm going to pan around here, and so now, obviously the rail has been paved over. It just goes out that way. We're going to keep following it. So that's the grain elevator at Johnson. And so as I was driving north, I looked over and there's a bridge still here. So we'll go over and check it out. It's right off the road. Don't feel too bad about coming over here, and so there's sort of a path to it, matter of fact. So pretty nice. You can see it says 1910 on the abutment down there, and the rails are still there if you can see them through the brush, and still on the bridge. Not a whole lot to see here. Just crossing the road, rails still in. This is looking back towards the bridge I was just at, and now looking northwest. Just going to assume that the rails are still over here too. Yep, there's a rail on the road. So, and there's rails right here. County Road 450 south. We're looking south, and you still see rails in the ground. There's one there, and there's the other one. I don't think I'll be running a speeder on this track anytime soon. So on County Road 750 West, Gibson County, there's this pretty long trestle. Again, still has rails on it. I started to go out on it one time. It's pretty rough. I'll get on up here a little bit and we'll show you a more unobstructed view of it. So the trestle I just shot through the woods is to my right. We'll just walk up here and look at this. We're out in pretty much the boonies, Gibson County now. There's hardly any homes out here. It's very swampy. Floods a lot. These fields get underwater quite a bit. I was a little worried before I came over here today that I'd find I wouldn't be able to get to this section, but it's not too bad. All right, so again, there's rails still on it, the whole thing. So again, I tried to get up on it one time over at that edge, and it's just, it looks like you could fall through it pretty easy. So I just decided not to do it. We just turned on to County Road 250 South. We're getting close to as far as I can go. Still rails here, and on the other side of the road, looking south towards Evansville, another big trestle over a swampy area. Again, not going out on it. It doesn't look very safe. to me. But there's still rails on it, and it's fairly long. I don't know if I can do it justice, but it's fairly long trestle. So I'll see how much farther I can go. I couldn't get this far, but this is the bridge over the Wabash River taken in 2009. Alright, so that last video I shot was as far as I could go following the railroad. It keeps getting close to the power plant, so I'm going to show you here in a second. And there is a bridge across the Wabash River, and as far as I can tell, that is still active by Norfolk Southern. I'll show you a picture of what it looks like on Google Maps. But the power plant itself is there. That's the power plant that the line ends up going just south of it, crosses the river, ties into the ex-New York Central line over in Mount Carmel, which is now owned by Norfolk Southern, and Norfolk Southern ties into it. I guess they used to interchange there. I'm going to try to go over and show you the shops and the depot, which weren't necessarily associated with this line. They were associated with New York Central, or probably the line that was the predecessor of New York Central, I imagine. But I don't know. Norfolk Southern, off the old Southern, comes in from the north side of this plant, and then this line comes in from the south side. Of course, this line wasn't built to serve this, because I guarantee you this plant wasn't here in 1910. So it was put in later. Anyhow, one other side note, this is my rental car for the for the week. Picked it up yesterday, and it had 114 miles on it. So I'm breaking it in right. It's the first time I've ever got a rental car. I'm almost dead certain that I am the first person to rent it. So it's going to be kind of dusty when I get it back. I'm not abusing it, not speeding. I'm taking on a lot of gravel roads though, but I'm not, you know, I'm being careful with it. I don't want to do any damage to it. It's sort of ironic that the first new rental car I get with less than 1,000 miles, I'm doing this with it. Okay, so I'm going to wind my way around, try to find my way over to Mount Carmel, Illinois, to show you the shops and the depot, and then I'm going to head to the motel. So we're in Mount Carmel, Illinois now, and that was basically the northern terminus of the line that we've been following. This is the passenger depot. Again, this depot, the line veered off to the left and crossed the Wabash River to go to Evansville, but it also kept going south in Illinois. So this didn't just serve the line that we've been following. This was a lot bigger, a lot more trains. And of course, like anything else, you can tell that it's just right away has been built up and everything. Can't see anything about it. But it's a beautiful depot. So I'm going to show you the car shops now, and I'll try to show you sort of a little bit of what's left of the railroad in town, and then we're going to head to the hotel. Okay, so we're still in Mount Carmel. I'm calling these car shops, but for all I know, they could be locomotive shops. So, pretty big facility. I'll go around and take a picture of the other side of it too. Obviously, it's owned by some other company now called Pacific. But I don't know what these buildings were actually for. I'll try to do some research when I get back to the hotel room. I was right, they were locomotive shops. Here's some vintage photographs of when they were servicing the coal mines in southern Illinois. Alright, so I keep looking directly into the sun. I will try to go around the backside and get some other video of it. I'm almost willing to bet these are more locomotive shops, because they had car shops in Chillicothe that are nowhere near this big. I will bet you that tall building has some big cranes in it, or had some big cranes in it. Let me go around the backside. Alright, here's the big building. You said that's pretty tall. It wouldn't surprise me if there were some big cranes in there. I've got these two concrete strips here in the ground, and there's over here got something like that too. So I'm thinking that there was something in here, and if you look real closely, and I know you won't be able to see it, there's places in here when you're walking where you can see where ties used to be, the spacing for the ties. So I'd say this whole field, besides the shops, was to keep cars under repair, or it could just been the railroad yards. Anyhow, the line went that way, and I'm going to go down and show you what's left of it. I can't come close to the Wabash River Bridge, unfortunately. There's just no good way to get to it. Here's a 1910 Sanborn Fire Insurance Company map. These things are really valuable for research. Of course, it may have changed some over the years. I mean, there's some buildings there now, and obviously the roundhouses aren't there. But it shows a lot of stuff. And it does say in the big pink building, it says locomotive repair shop. And there's a machine shop, and there's a bunch of different things in there. There's a woodworking shop, which is the building on the far right. So it was a big operation in its day. Okay, gonna make this kind of quick. The line to the left is the line we've been following. It goes to Evansville, Indiana. It crosses the river, goes to the power plant over there, and then it ends. The line going straight used to go farther into southern Illinois, and it just goes so far it's just abandoned. So that would be subject of another trip if I ever get a chance to do it. On the opposite side of the road, nobody coming. Hey. So again, this is owned by Norfolk Southern now. So this line that curves to the left ties back into the southern line to St. Louis, over there where that Super 8 sign is, close to that. This was part of the yard. This was part of that New York Central yard. And it sure looks to me like this line down here is pretty shiny. So I would say they may actually do some business at the power plant. It looks like they just use this for car storage in here anymore. So I'm going to verify what I've been telling you tonight at the hotel as much as I can. And I'm headed to the hotel now, getting off this bridge. Okay, so here's the bridge over the river. And as I scroll down, the line curves and goes into the power plant. And you see there's huge coal piles over here. Now these roads in gray here, they're all underwater right now. I don't know that I can get to them. I may try sometime. Where I ended up stopping was here. That's the last place I was able to film the line right here. So got as close as I could anyhow. So I hope you found this interesting. If you like this kind of stuff, I'll try to do it again. I love abandoned railroads. And again, just give me some feedback if you like it. I know this was a really long video, and so I'll try to keep them briefer. If I do the one on the Chicago and Eastern Illinois, it's definitely going to be shorter than this one. There's not as much to see on that one. So everybody stay safe.